And because the issue's been raised, is this legitimate recovery? Are people who are on these drugs in recovery? We brought kind of like the statespeople from the addictions world, senior researchers, recovery advocates, and others together to wrestle pretty painfully with these questions. And I want to give you just one that's sort of the consensus. And I'm going to give it to you on the most controversial issue, and it has to do with methadone. The Betty Ford Institute consensus panel brought together senior scientists, recovery advocates, treatment specialists, family members, wrestling with this issue, and here was where they ended on their definition of recovery. Formerly opioid-dependent, primarily heroin-dependent individuals who take naltrexone, buprenorphine, and most importantly, methadone as prescribed, everybody here, as prescribed, and are abstinent from alcohol and other non-prescribed drugs would meet this definition of sobriety. Now, this does not automatically say that they would meet the other two, global health and citizenship. If I'm running a methadone filling station for profit, are you with me? You okay with this concept? We have places in the United States that are methadone filling stations. If I run that, I can get people who will meet this criteria in terms of metabolic stabilization. But if I haven't built in a recovery culture surrounding that medication, if I haven't linked these people to recovery communities, if I haven't begun to help these individuals build a meaningful life in the community, I ain't got recovery here by the Betty Ford definition, agreed? But here's the key point, controversy. But if I do have citizenship and I do have global health and a person on methadone, we're saying there are many paths to long-term recovery, and hear me clearly, all are cause for celebration. Now, I say that having been a person who in my own history comes out of therapeutic communities of the 1960s. So you can probably guess my early attitudes towards methadone. In fact, one of my mentors at University of Chicago, Dr. Ed Sine, one of our first encounters, the subject of methadone came up. And I went into one of my psychotic rants about methadone, coming straight out of the TC in those days, right? And here's this eminent psychiatrist who kind of eyes get big and open, and he kind of quiets and puts his arms up and waits for me to kind of wind down. And he looked at me and he said, "Young man, your passion is in inverse proportion to your knowledge." That was the beginning of my education.